Welcome to the Crown Town Wiffle Weekend.
And welcome back, everybody. Duke Fry here from Kansas City, downtown Kansas City at the Urban Youth Academy, as we are celebrating the Crown Town Wiffle Weekend with a tournament. And here are the basic rules. The Monarch Division, we're in the what we call the Fun Division right now. It's played like standard baseball, except for the teams provide their own pitchers. Each batter gets 3 pitches to put the ball in play. If the third pitch isn't put in play, it's an out. The bases are 45 feet in distance. The pitching distance is 45 feet. The games will last no longer than 45 minutes or 7 innings. This year, we are also offering teams a Grand Slam package so they can buy mulligans. That mulligan includes 4 items: an extra out on defense, an extra pitch, an intentional walk on defense, and then a wild card for one you can use in whatever fashion you would like. Hi, everybody. I'm Duke Fry, as I said, and welcome to the Urban Youth Academy here in Kansas City for the CU and the Major Leagues Foundation Crown Town Wiffle Weekend. And the game we have going on right now is between the C-10 group and KSHBoom, the folks from Channel 41 here in Kansas City. And unlike most wiffle ball games, or should I say like most wiffle ball games, you don't know everybody's names. They kind of just wandered in a while ago from the neighborhood, and somebody said he's on my team or she's on my team, and so we're playing. We can identify some of these people. We can't identify all of these people, but they're all here to have a good time. And here is the first pitch of the game. And a ground ball to third. Beaten out for an infield hit. And so KSHB has got their first runner of the game open. We are at a marvelous facility here at the Urban Youth Academy. As you're looking, these are all artificial surface fields that are just absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful day here in Kansas City. Not nearly as hot as I think a lot of us expected it to be. And it is just fantastic weather. A slight breeze, and there's a drive off the left field wall for a base hit. As I mentioned, there are 4 fields where there are wiffle ball games going on right now. We happen to be on the main field, the Don Motley family field. Don Motley was a great influence in youth baseball here in Kansas City for many, many, many years. Met Don a long time ago, back in my American Legion baseball days. And there is a base hit to left field, and a run scores. First run of the ball game for KSHB. No, pardon me, Channel 41. Which team? Yeah. C-10 is up. KSHB is the home team. And since you provide your own pitcher, they didn't have enough people in the lineup to let the pitcher stay out there. Had to poke one for what turns out to be a hit. So now the bases are loaded. Our last ball game between the folks at 610 Sports and KCTV5 ended up with 610 Sports being the winners in that ball game. We had a grand slam in that affair. And there is a home run. Grand slam number 2 of the afternoon. Taken out of the ballpark. I need an identifier on who hit that home run. And a quick 5-0 lead for the C-10 folks. There's the celebration. And it was a line shot over the wall and left. Field dimensions are approximate, but we'll give you about 60 to 65 feet down the lines and closer to 100 in center field. As we mentioned, you get 3 pitches, so you've got to take your hacks quick. And safe at second base, and so 2 runners on. And still no outs recorded here in the top of the first inning. And Jeff Chadilla comes to the plate from NFL.com. And Jeff runs a foul ball past third, and now he's down to his final pitch. And a strikeout for Jeff. First out of the ball game. As I mentioned, you got to swing because you only get 3 pitches, so no matter whether it's close or not, you got to take the whiff. You got to be prepared to go for anything within 6 feet of home plate, even if it bounces. And with the designated pitcher on the mound, that ball's ruled to be a foul ball. And a second foul ball. Make that a 3rd foul ball. And the final out of the inning. But C-10 takes the lead, 5-0 in the top of the first. And let's take a moment and thank our sponsors for the Crown Town Wiffle Weekend. Our presenting sponsor, Epic KC, Benedictine College, Atchison, Kansas, City Rent-A-Truck, the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club, UMB Bank, and Walls Tetrick Advertising. Thank you to each and every one of them for being a part of this great weekend and raising funds for the CU and the Major Leagues Foundation. So the final swing, and he grounds it to first, thrown away, and the first runner is safe. So KSHB dug a hole in the top of the first, down 5-0 after the grand slam home run. Our second grand slam of the day in the 2 ball games we have broadcast. And joining us Mike side is Matt Folks, the director. Oh, and we're going to get a double play. Oh, no. Almost a double play out of that. Matt Folks, the director of the CU and the Major League Foundation. Matt, how are you doing? This is your team out here. You're the general manager of this ball club. At least it says it on the paper.
Does it really?
It does. General manager.
I didn't put that. I've got to talk to our printer about that. Yeah, this is our C-10 team. And so the C-10 team is leading? 5-0? How about that? Well, maybe not much anymore.
Just a 2-run homer, though. So
Okay.
the lead has been cut to 3.
Well, we've got, we do have some young studs on this team, 3 high school students, but no, this is, it's a lot of fun for us, obviously, to be a part of this.
And here's a look at that home run just a moment ago. I've been guessing at the dimensions of this ballpark, but I've been calling it 60 to 65 feet down the line.
You're close.
And close to 100 in dead center field.
You're close. You're off just a little.
Did you actually measure the distances?
So somewhat, yes. Jackson Brett kind of put together a lot of our fields.
Okay.
This was his Polo Grounds field.
Oh.
And see, originally, so we built these last night, and originally it started off down the lines about 80 feet and then jetted out to about 160 out to center. I said, Jackson, nobody's going to be able to hit a home run.
Nobody's going to hit one out there.
And we're actually moving the Home Run Derby finals to this field. So we moved it in. They're roughly 70
Okay.
on the line.
Oh, and there's another home run.
See, I might not be able to stay here very long. 'Cause I've come on, and suddenly our C-10 team is down or giving up 3 runs here.
You know, the difference is, though, when the first game was on, the wind was blowing in, and now the wind is at our back. Have you noticed
It has
this?
shifted. It has.
It has shifted, and so it was harder to hit one out in the first game, but left field is a little bit of a crosswind. Right field, you can pull it, and you're going to get some help on that one.
So Ray Daniel is up now. Whoop. No, she keeps changing bats.
You know, I told Fesco, he says he's never hit a home run. Bob Fesco in the last game said he's never hit a home run in any game ever.
I can believe that.
Yeah, I could too. But I told him you need to juice the bat. You got to tape the bat head, get some weight, and give yourself some opportunity there.
Now, one thing that I'm noticing, and you've probably seen it, but we supplied each field with the old school thin yellow bat. Nobody's using it.
Very little of that going on.
No faith in the thin yellow bat.
A lot of people have brought their own.
It's kind of the thing to do now.
So
we have some serious whifflers out here.
Well, we'll discuss this in a moment, but I want to ask you first about the C-10 organization, because you're a part of this and you help direct all this. Tell us what the C-10 mentorship and leadership program is really all about, and what it does for youth.
Well, we started it last year to essentially give students mentoring. And the last few years we had a program called See You at the K, where we would take a group of students out to a really unique experience out at Kauffman Stadium, and people would ask us, and these were students from different programs, Police Athletic League, the Boys and Girls Clubs, etc. People would say, well, what type of follow-up are you doing? And we weren't doing any. And so we came up with this program that basically to take Dayton's character leadership messages and apply them to high school students, because students these days, and it doesn't matter where you live, what your situation is, students need good mentoring. And we have students actually out here today that, they've got mom, dad, sister, brother, everybody in their life, but dad has said or mom has said, hey, we could use some mentoring for so-and-so. And so that's, basically we meet on a weekly basis. Each student is paired with a mentor, and we get educational enhancements for them. We give them life and job skill opportunities. We let them hear, as this was one of our...
Over the wall. Did he hang on to it?
No,
he did not.
He broke the wall.
He took down the wall.
Man. Well, there you go, Jackson.
That is the second time that wall has been run into today. Oh, what an effort, though.
It was a great effort. I loved, off his hands. And in that first replay, Ray Daniel just kind of threw her hands up. She was a little concerned, but I'm concerned about the fencing. Suddenly changes the dimensions, Duke.
It did. It's now about 3 feet farther right in that little area.
And so that was one of our dads, Antoine, and this is Antonio, his son. And he legs that one out.
He did.
But it's an opportunity for students to get experiences here in Kansas City. We take them on field trips. They've been able to go to the Kauffman Center, for instance. They've gone to the police station to hear about all different aspects of police work. And so we just try to do fun things with them like that they can learn from. But at the same time, once a month, we do go into the community for a service project. And it was important for us when we put this program together to say, again, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter where you live. None of that matters. You can make a difference here in Kansas City. And so to see the students and to hear them say, man, I didn't know I can help homeless people like that. It's pretty special to know that they're making that type of difference in our hometown.
It's also great, I think, for kids in different areas of Kansas City to meet kids from other areas in Kansas City and find out, yeah, we all have our little things that go on where we live in our little bubble, but they're really, a lot of them are the same issues. They may, they may be a little bit different. They may, they may be kind of coded a little differently, but they're really the same issues, whether you live, out in the country or you live in the inner city. A lot of them, they face the same issues, just under different light.
Right. And, we hear Dayton talk a lot about diversity and the importance of diversity. And I think that applies to what we're trying to do here as well. This year we have students that have rough home lives. We have students who have had a good home situation. And as we move forward, our ultimate goal with this, or one of the ultimate goals with it, is to bring together urban, rural, and suburban. And exactly what you're saying, that we want to show them that, yeah, you might be a junior who's going to some school in the urban core. Yeah, you might be a junior at, school in Blue Valley or Shawnee Mission or wherever. But yeah, a lot of the issues you're dealing with are exactly the same.
Well, they are, and and you talked about the diversity. That's what I think is really important for all of our kids to be included into and see.
Right.
We all have parts of town that we live in and we stay in, but at the same time, it's important to introduce ourselves to each other and other people. I can go back to when we spent 6 years in Houston, and we lived in a brand new neighborhood that was much more diverse than you find here in the Midwest in most areas. We had neighbors who were who had come from, they'd escaped Vietnam in a boat, and we had a neighbor from India across the street, and we had a black couple next door to us, and so we had all these different people, and our kids, when they moved to Kansas City, when they went to school the first couple of days, like, where are all the people of different colors? and it was, so it's important for them to be introduced and to have that chance to interact with people of diverse cultures and life opportunities and everything else, because that's how you learn about yourself, and it's how you learn empathy for others.
There's a student on the screen now that giving a little flex, and he won't be embarrassed now that I'll tell him that we were talking about him at this moment. But he was one of our freshmen this year, and we had 2 freshmen in the program. That wasn't the way we developed it originally, but we knew these freshmen and we knew that they'd be good students for this program. But I tell you, today at our luncheon here at the Urban Youth Academy to kick off this event today, he spoke for a couple moments.
Yes, he did.
And he would not have done that a year ago. And to see him flexing his muscles on in front of a camera, he would not have done that a year ago. So maybe not everything we're doing is good, but But no, it's the fascinating thing to us is to see the mentors learning from the students as much as the students are learning from the mentors. And again, it goes back to that piece that you're talking about, that a lot of our mentors didn't grow up around in a diverse area. Whether that's black, white, doesn't matter. But to be around the students and to learn from them, it's pretty important.
The impact you make, and I heard this, Sly James this morning was talking at the luncheon and talking about how you never know when you're going to make an impact in somebody's life. And I can go back to, I went to my 25th high school reunion a long time ago now. Unfortunate to say that, but true. And a woman came up to me and she said, "You changed my life." And I was like, "I hardly remember you from high school." And she said, "You used to wear a Duke University T-shirt, to school all the time."
Right.
And it's my name. My dad went to Duke University, so there's a connection there. And she goes, "I used to see that shirt," and she goes, "I ended up going to Duke." She said, "I met my husband at Duke." She said, "You changed my life by wearing that T-shirt." So for those of you who don't know or don't think about the impact you make on someone in the smallest of ways,
Right.
it's incredible the impact you can make.
Oh, it really is.
And by the way, Jeff Chudilla has just struck out for the second time in the ballgame.
Second time.
Yeah, I'm not sure it may be due to the pitching. He hasn't exactly had the greatest pitches in the world coming his way.
I
But
saw that. and the guy on the mound is actually Sydney's dad.
So let's talk about the auction, because that's something else that's going on right now.
Right.
Is you have an auction here that there's some of the items that you can only bid on if you come here, and they include lunch for 3 with legendary football coach Bill Snyder. And we mentioned today that since Bill, as I remember, didn't really eat dinner, that you have to have lunch.
It's a lunch in Manhattan.
in Manhattan, but you can have that. A 10-course meal with Jeff Montgomery.
It's a really fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
I think wine comes with this thing.
I
didn't know you could have 10
That's a lot of courses.
How do you have 10?
Well, they better be small.
I guess.
An Alberto Mondesi hat and or helmet and a bat autographed.
Yep.
And a Patrick Mahomes football as well.
Yes.
And
you can. Plus, we have. You know what you can do? You mentioned Bob Fesco earlier. You can host your own show on a Saturday morning on 610, or technically on one of their sister stations, but you'd be on with Fesco on Friday, and then you and your buddies can host a show on Saturday.
Do your own show.
You get a broadcast experience through this auction where you can go meet possibly Denny and Rex and Ryan and all those guys before a game, and then get to stay and watch the game. So yeah, we've got some really cool experiences. Hot dog derby. If you want to get your buddies out and see who's fastest, relish hot dog or relish
running that.
Yeah, ketchup or mustard.
Back when they did the dot race.
Oh yeah.
I once did the dot race back in my radio days in right field, coming out of the right field gate against Don Fortune, and I'm trying to remember who the third person was. But the interesting part about it was Rusty Meacham, and I believe it was Jeff Montgomery as well, grabbed me and held me up against the fence to give Don about a 40-yard lead, and I still clipped him at the tape. But I also had him by about 30 years in age. So,
hey, whatever works.
Now, we were mentioning the auction items,
Yep.
and I saw a Travis Kelce Chiefs signed jersey there, and I said there's a bonus to the Travis Kelce jersey, because you would also be getting a jersey of the guy who just won the karaoke contest at the American Century Golf Classic in Lake Tahoe last night. He beat Rob Riggle and several other people. And by the way, do you know who the house band was playing for whoever was doing their performances? Rascal Flatts. So they were doing, he did Journey's "Don't Stop Believing," is what I understand, to win the karaoke contest last night. So you get the added bonus if you get the Kelce jersey of knowing that you have a man that has won a national karaoke contest.
Yeah. Although the jersey is impressive, it's an authentic jersey, but I think I might stick with the MVP signed football.
Yeah, and I did see a George Brett autographed jersey over there as well. There's a lot of good stuff to bid on, and if you want to go online and see the items that you can bid on online, they'll pull up a graphic here in a moment, and we'll have that for you. And so you can go there. I believe it's the CUinthemajorleagues.org, and there's a link there for the auction. Correct?
Correct. You can. There are a few different ways. You know, Duke, we got to make it multiple ways for somebody to be able to find us. You can go to CUinthemajorleagues.org, and that's the letter C, and then CU in the Major Leagues. There you go, CrownTownWeekend.com.
Yes.
You can also just go to biddingowl.com/CYITML. Well, let's just go to CrownTownWeekend.com. It's pretty easy to remember. This is Crown Town Weekend.
Yeah. And then you look for the auction link on CrownTownWeekend.com, and you can see all the different items that you could bid on. And please bid. Please be generous. It all goes to a great cause, and really is doing some fantastic things here in Kansas City.
No, we appreciate that, and you know, it's it's special when you get a chance to do this. In fact, it's funny. KCTV5 was playing earlier, and I had a chance to go on with Danny Welniak earlier this week, and she pointed out some of the things I've been able to do in my career, and said, "What are you most proud of? What have you enjoyed the most?" And it's the most transparent answer I can give is what we're doing right now. I mean, writing books is great and broadcasting is great, but to be able to help people and to see the reaction when a student gets it, or when you're able to scholarship 240 kids to come to baseball and softball camps here at the Urban Youth Academy that our donors were able to do through a first pitch luncheon back in March. When you can do these types of things, there's nothing like it.
And you're close to raising $1 million now in 5 years, right?
We have we made a couple of grants last week that put us about $980,000, and I think very soon we will be at $1 million. Very, very soon. And but it's special to be able to do that, and again, it's just, as Dayton says, it goes back to the people of Kansas City. It goes back to just their generous hearts. And it's funny, and I know you've done it a couple times, where we have our text to give number, and as we were thinking of the key word to use, it was, as Julius Foster just went yard, one of our mentors, he muscled that one out of here. But the simplest...
You've apparently got a powerhouse team. You're now piling up the runs. You're in double digits.
We had no idea what we were getting into. But evidently they can play wiffle ball.
But as you mentioned, the text KC Cares.
KC Cares, and it's, as we were thinking about that word to use, it just made sense to go with KC Cares, because that's really the impetus for what we do. We couldn't do what we do without the donors, and we couldn't help people. And there you go. Text KC Cares to 31996.
And that's KC space Cares,
yes,
by the way.
So it's pretty incredible to be able to do that, to be able to think that we're close to $1 million in grants. It's gone to 59 organizations, and so we've helped a lot of different people in a lot of different areas. We've really focused lately on the C-10 program and being able to scholarship kids here at camp, but we also still help families in crisis. And, families that lose everything in a tornado. We're actually working with a family right now to look at some ways we can come alongside them. Families that lose everything in a fire.
Or floods, as we've had in the Kansas City area this year.
Exactly. So to be able to help people like that is important. So as you think about texting to give now, or you think about going to crowntownweekend.com to look at the auction items, or shoot, just to send in a donation of any kind, it's making a direct impact on Kansas City and on the people here.
Well, it's a great day here. It is a great organization. It's great to see all these people out here supporting it, yeah, and just having a good time. I mean, that's the other part, is they are having fun. As Bob Fesco mentioned earlier, the competitive juices come out every now and then with it. I've seen a few headfirst slides.
Have you really?
Oh, I saw a woman last game. She made a headfirst slide into home plate trying to beat the throw, and she did. And so, yes, they're giving their all out there.
Although Chadia's struggled a little bit here.
Yes. I believe he is close to getting the golden sombrero if he comes up a fourth time.
So this might explain it. So last year, to cap part of this off, we have a celebrity sponsor type game, and Jeff was one of our celebrities last year. And
that one is gone, but it's about 70 feet foul.
I don't even know who this is. But we're seeing kids that they're coming out of the woodwork now to play. It's 13-3. Why not? Oh. All right, get the force out.
Got the force out.
Lindsay Shively tagging Peggy Bales just to make sure.
All right, so here's the slide we were talking about in the last ball game. We're gonna give you a chance to see this. This is the effort made coming in head first on the bat and everything.
And she was safe.
So yes,
Look at that.
Yeah, we got
What athleticism.
got some effort going there.
And then a little dance after that.
There's a dance as well. Yeah.
And I've seen, and we're going to have to talk to them about this, but I did see one of our C-10 students, and maybe more who did it in the last game, but I did see a couple mighty bat flips.
Oh, there have been a couple of nice bat flips, yes, in the game, the games I've seen so far.
Yeah.
I have seen one over-the-wall catch in the left field, actually in that same dented area that we have now from the ball that was not caught with the attempt, but someone reached over the wall and pulled down a home run to save it. You know, and I mentioned earlier, we're here on the Motley family field, and Don Motley was just a great supporter of Kansas City baseball for so long.
Yeah, he really was. And I mean, really the Motley family was. And so to play on these fields, over behind us, what we have is our home run derby field, the Joe McGuff field, who was instrumental in
keeping baseball or getting baseball back. Yeah.
Was instrumental in that. And over here, for us, we have the Monarch field, but it's the Women of the Negro League softball field. So I think as we go forward, we'll probably honor some of that history a little bit more with our fields. And, you know, Jackson with his Polo Grounds field here, we might have to come up with an old Municipal or
Muehlebach Stadium, yeah. Well, you know, we're right around the corner from it, and I can remember coming down here for baseball games. My grandfather and I used to come down here to baseball games, see the A's play, and you know, I watched baseball there. I watched Chiefs football games there. I saw the Christmas Day game there against the Dolphins. So you know, and it's such this area right here. The Negro League Museum and the Jazz Museum are just around the corner from us. This is such an area of huge cultural significance in Kansas City history.
Oh, it really is. And I mean, you and I have been here long enough that we've seen how this has transformed in the last few years, but think about how far it's come in the last 10 to 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, you know, Buck O'Neill and Bob Kendrick and these other men who had this great idea for this area. And when you think about the history, and, you know, one of the cool things to me, I'm a big jazz fan. And so to leave this area at night with jazz playing, and sometimes I'll go up the road and come down.
Just to hear the music
just to
coming
hear it.
out.
And it's incredible just to think back.
And there's a drive and out of the ballpark.
Oh, boy.
Well, you know, you mentioned the great Buck O'Neill, and I can remember sitting down with Buck in what was the Negro League Museum before they built it,
right,
which was the upstairs office across the street that was just packed full of memorabilia to the point you could hardly move inside of it, of just things he had collected from everybody. And he said, we're going to have a museum someday. And to see what's transpired from all that is amazing as well.
Right, exactly.
And there's that home run. You got the good outstretched arms. And there's a line shot off the fence.
I think I need to go talk to our coaches about let's just go station to station.
Running up the score here. You got
feel bad.
You got a pounding of the KSHBoom team.
I thought this would be a very
competitive game.
Very competitive. And I'm thinking now, if I want any media coverage for C-10, that we might have trouble getting it.
You might have to get a few people thrown out of the game and end up having to forfeit.
Wow. See, now that's the swing I expected to see it out of us a little bit more. All right.
And there is an out, and that we end the inning with the C-10 team up 14-3.
If you're considering this, one of the things you want to think about is you're going to help a student, but you're also going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to find that, maybe you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Maybe you're right in your zone, but if you're right in your zone, you're doing something that will really benefit, a student here in the Kansas City area and help them, maybe it's a nudge with academics, maybe it's a nudge with just being a little bit more social and stepping out of their comfort zone and interacting with a professional adult who has been through what you're going through, and it's a good time.
Antonio can do a little bit of everything.
I was going to say that's one of your guys, isn't it? Yeah. Did a nice job there.
Show off. Have you ever been able to juggle?
A little.
Okay.
A little. And for those of you who want to donate, remember, text KC Cares. That's 2 words, basically. KC space Cares to 31996 to donate to the CU and the Major Leagues Foundation.
And we've been telling people as we started this off really yesterday with the Day of Giving that just $38 provides a student with mentoring for a week is what it basically comes out to.
That a baby?
Nice grab. But $38, my family will sometimes go to a fast food restaurant and spend $38.
Oh, yeah.
So for basically the same amount of taking your family out, you can give a kid, a high school student here in Kansas City, mentoring for a week.
You can impact his or her life.
Directly.
And that's really what you're talking about here is as you saw in the commercial, if you want to call it that, a moment ago, is the opportunity for young people to, number one, build a relationship with an adult and understand what's possible.
Right.
Have someone say, I've been in your position before, to be able to say, yeah, I did that and I recovered.
Right.
Because it was discussed today at the luncheon with and I can't remember if it was Mayor James that was talking about it or if it was Dayton that was talking about it, but I think it was Mayor James was talking about we need to give kids the opportunity to fail and not have it be catastrophic.
Right.
That they can make a mistake and learn from it and learn how to move forward from that.
As I think about some of our student and mentor relationships and pairings that we had, and really we didn't know exactly what we were doing going into that last school year, and it's funny because our pairings pretty much turned out perfectly, but there was no science behind it. After interviewing all the students and all the mentors, we basically just said, okay, this would be good for this person, whatever. What we didn't know, for instance, I'm thinking of a student and mentor that the student had a really bad school year this year. Had several friends and relatives who were murdered, and it was just a tough for a high school student to go through something like that. And so we found out that his mentor had gone through something similar when he was in high school. And we had no idea. But for them to be able to share that experience and for the mentor to say, I've been there, you will come out of this, or you need to do this to come out of that. It's pretty incredible to see that. And to know that that adult, that mentor, he's going to be with this student forever. And the mentor and I have talked through this a little bit. That he said, I know I'm going to be helping him for years to come, long after this program, long after he's out of this program.
We listened to Jeff Judea talking earlier today, and he mentioned when he lived in the San Francisco area and was mentoring a young man in the 3rd grade at the time. And he said when he took a job and moved to New York, he gave him his phone number, gave him all his contact information, and said, I'm always there to talk to. And he said, 3 years later, I get a phone call from him one day, and he said, "What are you calling about?" And he said, "I called to tell you I graduated from the 5th grade." And he goes, that still had he says, today that still has an impact on me because it meant that much to that young man to pick up the phone and call and just tell me that news, because it was that important to him.
Speaking of Jeff, the wind has picked up. You notice that?
Now it's changed. It's now in our face. It was in our back earlier. Well, we've got an end of an inning, and it's still 14-3, the C-10 group on top.
A wise man once said, "The world offers you comfort, but you were not made for comfort. You were made for greatness." Discover what you were made for. Benedictine College, where greatness begins.
Back for another inning here in Kansas City at the Urban Youth Academy, downtown KC, Missouri. The Crown Town Wiffle Weekend, where we have folks on 4 different fields playing wiffle ball.
Six. 4 big fields, and then we actually have some outfield unique fields that we've built.
Ah, okay. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of the genesis behind the CU and the Major League Foundation. You know, Dayton talked a little bit about that at the luncheon today.
Yeah, it was something that he and his wife started in 2014, early 2014. So remember what happened late in 2014. This actually started before that. And they sat down one night, and I'm sure it had been on both of their hearts for a while, but they said, you know, the people of Kansas City have been so good to us. We want to figure out a way to give back. And so they started CU in the Major Leagues with the idea of helping families in crisis, education, faith-based initiatives, and youth baseball. And that's where it went for the first few years. And then we started focusing more on those character-based leadership messages. We've been able to take Dayton to prisons to speak to inmates. And again, just to see their reaction to Dayton speaking to them. And okay, now KSHBoom is, they're making a little noise here.
Still down 14-4.
Hey, I'm trying to make it sound good.
You're trying to make it sound good. I get it.
No, but it's morphed a little bit more, like I said, toward the kids, toward high school students, toward younger kids, because all of us, regardless of your age, all of us, I think, I'm biased, we can use those character-based leadership messages that Dayton gives. And so those are so important for all of us, but if we can start with students, and if we can impact one student's life, just one student, you could be changing generations.
You can.
And it's, you know, I don't want to sound flippant with that at all, because we've seen cycles change, and we've seen how, I'll give you another example from C-10. There was a student that, again, had kind of a rough background, but his goal in life was to one day learn how to cut hair and open basically a barbershop, which is great. He wants to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Because of some things that he went through and the way that his mentor helped him, he told us this year, he said, you know what, I think I've kind of changed my mind. I want to become a counselor for troubled youth. And he worked this summer at a camp somewhere out of state that helps kids in trouble. And so his path has completely changed just because of his mentor.
And yet he's making an impact.
He's making an impact. And we have heard that he was one of the best counselors, or student counselors, or whatever they called him down there, at this program. They called a couple people up here in Kansas City and said he was amazing. And so it's cool to hear that.
So, as we were talking about, See You in the Major Leagues Foundation was started by Dayton and Marianne Moore back in 2014. They've granted over $980,000 to help youth sports, education, families getting to that $1 million mark. Gonna pass it soon. And in August of 2018, launched the C-10 mentoring program we were talking about. And you mentioned, right now it may not be a lot of students that you're affecting, but as this program continues to grow, there will be more opportunities for that, and more opportunities to impact more youth, and then get them to impact youth. And Jeff Chudilla is coming very close now to the golden sombrero. He is one pitch away. And he fouls it off for strike 3.
He went one-handed, though.
Yes, he did.
No, what I was going to say, in the celebrity game last year, so we were using the yellow bats, and he used, I think it was 3. It might have been 2, but 2 or 3 in one at bat. And it worked.
He's got big enough hands he can do that.
But no, to be able to make that kind of impact, and again, I can't stress this enough. See in the Major Leagues is just the conduit between the people who want to help and the people who need some help. And so as we think about the C-10 mentoring program, it was 10 students. The 10.
Whoa, and that one's lined over the wall.
The C-10 name, See in the Major Leagues, is based on 10 C words. So it was 10C, although we happen to have 10 students this year. But no, we love the intimacy of that group, because typically on a Wednesday night, it's going to be with pinch hitters, as we call some substitute mentors, with them coming as well. You'd have 22, 23, 24 people. And it was a really good number, because people can learn from each other better that way. So, whether we grow it, this year we're looking at maybe getting it to 20 students, maybe at the most. But we like that intimacy of it. But who knows, at one point, this could become
inside the park home run.
How about that? From a dad, no less. Antoine Dunn. But who knows, one day it could become a curriculum. And there he goes.
And Antoine shows off his speed after he rounds first.
And here's his son, Antonio, at the plate, who's...
I watched him hit earlier. He can crank it.
Like father, like son?
He's got a swing. See, I told you.
Man. A done and A done.
Yeah, and he's got a stance that works. A little open. Oh, and he does the 360. So he's got the open stance, as we see. That's a little bit of a Manny Machado kind of look there.
Especially the way he takes his top hand off the bat.
Yeah.
Pretty much during the swing.
Yeah.
Here's Chris Summers, who's a firefighter here in Kansas City.
Go, Chris!
And we've talked so much about the kids, but what about the volunteer help you need?
Oh, and it's just when you look at the mentors alone, I mean, we're asking a weekly commitment of at least 2 to 3 hours a week. And that's a lot for some people. But, yeah, whether it's our mentors, whether it's volunteers we have here this weekend, we've got a tremendous amount of volunteers here to turn this event around. But the mentors all have busy lives, but it's great to see that they want to invest in the students, because they see the impact they can be making.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, it's a two-way street. You get what you give a lot of times, and there are quite a few times that when you volunteer for an organization, you find out you're gaining more than you actually give.
Right. Well, and that's, I said a few minutes ago that I think the mentors sometimes learn more from the kids. And that's really, I think, one neat thing that we saw this past year. Ely's kind of struggling here. Ely Medina, one of our mentors.
She actually hit one out earlier.
Did she?
Yes.
Her one-handed swing there worked on her third pitch. And again, in the rec league this year, we changed it so you're pitching to your own team, but you get only 3 pitches.
Speeds up the game a bit. We're already here in the top of the 7th inning with it 19-9.
I think that's a 4.
You have,
Duke.
or 19-4. You're right.
Not to rub it in.
Well, yeah. He let it roll foul. He let it roll foul. So they're going to do it all again. You know, in a close game, that might have meant something.
Right. All right, Sidney's down to his last strike.
He is.
On the back of Sidney's shirt, I think it really says a lot about the C-10 program that we stress to the students. Earn it, own it, share it. So we want them to, they apply to be in the program, they have to earn that. And then we want them to own it while they're in the program.
Take
we want
responsibility
them to
for it.
take the responsibility, and then you're sharing it with people around you, taking it into your communities, taking it into your classrooms, your churches, whatever it might be, and taking these leadership lessons and applying them elsewhere.
And they're doing a good job of that. They really are.
I hope so.
They're really doing a good job of that.
And we're really looking forward to starting our next school year in just a few weeks, really, as we get set to kick off. Hard to believe, but kick off here in a few weeks with our new school year. Right now we have about 15 students for next year. And we have a tremendous, you talk about the volunteers, we have a tremendous, just incredible mentors coming in, not to mention the ones coming back. So Lindsay Shively couldn't play last year. She was pregnant.
She was, wasn't she?
She was.
Yes.
She was here, but she couldn't play. And so she's showing that she could be one of their top players.
They're going to have to get a lot of hits here. And they got a chance to at least pick up one run.
Uh-oh. Nope. And you know what? In wiffle, unlike baseball, in wiffle, you need to be aggressive every now and again.
Got to go for it.
Yeah, why not?
Got to go for it.
Because the ball, as we saw there, the ball can go anywhere when you try to throw it.
And most people, particularly people that don't play wiffle ball on a regular basis, do not have much control of the ball. So
Good point.
The people that are, that are professionals at this, they know how to make the ball move the way they want it to move. Most of us out there are just throwing it and hoping it gets there.
Right.
And if it goes right or left, you mentioned you're using your own pitcher. I've seen pitchers for their own players, as that one came off the hands for a base hit, for their pitchers for their own players not get a ball within 7 feet of home plate.
The funny thing, the reason we did that this year, we had a lot of teams complaining that either they didn't have their own pitcher who could throw a strike. All right, Ray Daniels.
They picked up a run there.
They got a run. She avoided the double play. But there were some people didn't like the fact that there were so many balls thrown. The game seemed to be slow. So we said, okay, in the rec league, in the fun league, you can throw to your own team. We knew that it would add some offense, but.
Well, we had some discussion, you and I, about the bringing out the whammer bat.
We did.
The fat bat.
We did. We obviously chose not to do it. That should be.
I believe that was the final out of the game. So the C-10 folks racked up 20 runs in their 20-4 victory over KSHBoom. Not much boom in the KSH.
And I'm going to have to go talk to the C-10 group about this. Well, Duke, thanks for coming out here. Thanks for your support in this, and obviously to Niles Media and TJ and Neil and all the gang here. But it means a lot to us. And we've got a couple more games that are going to be streamed here on MLB.com. And
you're just letting me scrape off the rust from several years of non-broadcasting. So this is just fun for me. But you've got a home run derby, as you mentioned a while ago, coming up here in the next hour. That we're gonna shoot some highlights of that and have that at least that we might be able to show in the later ball games.
Yeah, I think that's going to be on this field here in a little bit.
And then we will be back at 6 o'clock Central Time here in Kansas City at the Urban Youth Academy for the third game of the day, one of 4 broadcasts we will have today. And as you look at some highlights of the route, we thank you all for joining us today and hope to see you again later on this evening as we continue with the See You in the Major Leagues Foundation Crown Town Wiffle Weekend.